This is Biker Dad, brought to you by Whittle and Melton. My name is Chris Best, and I left my 25-year corporate career to ride motorcycles, and this time that adventure brings me to Washington State. Yeah, I touched down in the big city, but just long enough to grab a rental bike at Eagle Rider and then take off for the mountains. I'm on the road, and no, I did not ride my Harley Davidson all the way to Germany. I'm actually in the state of Washington in a tiny Bavarian town in the foothills of the Cascade Mountains called Leavenworth, and it's the closest thing you can get to actually being in Germany without, well, going to Germany. So let's check it out. On this episode of Biker Dad, what happened when I took a 12-year-old beat-up bagger on a 2,000-mile test ride.
There's surface rust all over this thing. We live near the Gulf Coast, so there's salt in the air.
And what are the odds? Riding in Vegas in the snow.
As tough as it gets. Maybe a little bit colder than this, and that's about it.
And ditching the corporate job for a life behind bars. Meet a biker entrepreneur in South Carolina who's living the dream.
I've been customizing bikes my entire life.
Plus the tiny town that's known for beer and beautiful views. We are on the road in Washington State. It's a little taste of Germany right here in the States.
I don't want to tell you all my secrets about Washington because I might be a Californian looking at this and kind of like, well, we need to move there.
That's where we start this episode of the Biker Dad Show, so off gates. Let's roll. Have you ever sat at your job and thought, what if I just got up and left? Tell that horrible boss to take this job and shove it. Have you ever wanted to just walk out? What about burnout? Well, that's exactly what I did, but I didn't just quit. I left my 25-year corporate career to ride motorcycles and tell your story. Daytona Beach, Florida, where you can actually drive onto the beach. Rick Fairless, a legend of his own, introduced me to Richard Rollins, Mayfield, Kentucky. Southeast Missouri, beautiful city of Knoxville, Tennessee. Gulf Coast of Mississippi, the Florida coast and the Tampa Bay area, Orange County Choppers, Roadhouse and Museum, talking to Paul Tuttle Sr. himself. But make no mistake, this is not a show about motorcycles or even about me. Instead, I travel across the country to meet the people who use their passion for motorcycles to make their communities stronger, safer, and better. This is Biker Dad. This little town in the mountains in Washington State is known for two things: beer and brats, and just looking a lot like Germany. Well, it is unseasonably and unusually scorching hot, so I'm okay with that beer part. To get to those beers and brats, we started off in Snohomish, Washington, riding through the Cascade Mountains for about 100 miles. Beautiful views all along the way. I've been all over the country on a motorcycle, and America is beautiful, but the Pacific Northwest is one of those rare spots where you can be in the city, in a giant city with all its problems and its troubles and political strife, and then literally less than an hour and just minutes be in a place like this that seems untouched by man, just beautiful Mother Nature. Leavenworth is a Bavarian-style village in the Cascade Mountains there in central Washington. It's Alpine-style buildings and restaurants serving German beer and food line the streets. And on the Wenatchee River, Waterfront Park is a habitat for ospreys and eagles, and also a destination for bikers.
Hi, my name is Dave Emerton. I live in Cleveland, Washington. Came over here for a sausage and a beer over in Leavenworth. It's the greatest place to have German food other than Germany. It's a really good ride. It's really, really nice. It's a lot of curves, a lot of really good bends, something you can lean into. Really fun, and the food's great. It's Germany. It's absolute Germany. The scenery is absolutely beautiful. The mountains all around here. It's got the Stuart Mountain Range that is beautiful, so it's absolutely stunningly gorgeous. The Cascade Loop, which goes from Seattle all the way up to Snoqualmie Pass and make a turn in Cle Elum and come around here, and they go hit Highway 2 and come down into Arlington, which is a beautiful place too. Washington is very unique because if you're in Seattle, you have the Puget Sound, which is the saltwater. You go 45 minutes, you're in the mountains where you have snow, skiing, and then you come over to the pass and you have the desert. So you've got like 3 states in one, and then you can go to the ocean and go surfing down to the ocean and salmon fishing. So it's a great place. It's really a great place.
Anything else you wanted to say I didn't ask you about?
I can't think of anything. I don't want to tell you all my secrets about Washington because I might be a Californian looking at this and kind of like, well, we need to move there.
Now, a Biker Dad road trip.
Vegas, Nevada. The Las Vegas area is one of my favorite places to ride a motorcycle. No, not here on the strip. Do that once just to say you did, because the traffic is terrible. But in the area around Las Vegas, there's not more beautiful riding on the planet. You can check out the Hoover Dam, and then natural wonders of the world like the Joshua Tree National Forest just across the state line in California, the Valley of Fire Park. You're even close enough to take a ride to the Grand Canyon. Vegas and the surrounding area are known for their heat, but we happened to be there when it was very cold. And this time, we're taking a ride up in the mountains on search for snow. And to get there, we are riding the BMW R18 that I rented from Eagle Rider in Las Vegas. It comes in a cruiser and a bagger, and thankfully, since we're in Vegas during a freezing cold, heated hand grips. The bike rode like a dream and sounded like a sewing machine. That doesn't really mean anything bad, it just means that it is clean and reliable. One thing that I had to get used to was the engine, which is situated sideways, and when you rev it, the bike shakes back and forth side to side, unlike all the Harleys I normally ride. Alright, time to ride. My friend Chris Klotz and I took our rental bikes and headed for a biker spot at one of the highest points in the area.
Mike Gwaltney.
Frank Munoz.
You all live here in the area?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I live right across from Red Rock Casino. It's a great ride. Right now, we are in a place called Mountain Springs. It's a little community on the way to Pahrump, just outside of Las Vegas. So as you ride through Red Rock Canyon, when you come to the end, if you take a right, it will take you up to Mountain Springs, which has a firehouse and a lot of little homes. And you'll notice the famous Mountain Springs Saloon, where the old timers can, if you remember the movie Hooper with Burt Reynolds, was filmed here. Well, as long as I've been here, it's been here. I don't know how long it's been here, but you know, it's a great spot. There's video poker available. It's a great crowd. It's biker friendly. It's just a nice place to go. It's your basic biker bar.
The Mountain Spring Saloon originally opened up in the 1950s, and since then it's been drawing bikers from around the world. Getting there is the best part though. It's 45 minutes from the hustle and bustle of downtown Vegas, and in between the Strip and the Saloon is beautiful riding through Red Rock Canyon and all kinds of other places. My favorite thing was the donkeys warning on the side of the road.
Yeah, it's not too frequent you see one, but if you do, you want to be aware it could happen.
An occasional mountain goat.
Yeah.
And because it's 5,000 feet higher than Las Vegas, it's always cooler. It was already cold when we got there, and it was even colder on top of the mountain.
Well, actually, especially in the summer, Las Vegas gets up to 110 degrees. It's usually about 15 degrees cooler up here. So it is the spot. This is as bad as it gets, though. We ride 12 months a year here in Las Vegas.
It's going to be in the 70s Monday.
Yeah, July and August, this is really a popular spot. Believe it or not, it's about 80, 90 degrees up here in July and August. So that's one of the reasons why it is so popular.
I moved here in 2019, February 6th, and I woke up the next morning, my car was covered in snow. Apparently every 10 years they get a good snow, and I was on the 10th year.
This is Biker Dad, brought to you by Whittle and Melton.
Did you know that the largest class action in the United States history probably just started here in August of 2022? In Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, they discovered that the water was so toxic, so contaminated, it was causing people to die, get cancer, all sorts of horrible conditions because of their water. And for a period of time, the government knew about it and didn't tell people. So if you know anybody associated with that base for any amount of time, either they live there or they work there, or of course if they were in service as well, call us. We want to help you. Time is very limited. Thank you so much.
Now here's the Biker Dad Bike of the Week. This week's Bike of the Week is actually a couple bikes. We're talking about the ST models, which is something special that Harley is doing. We have the Road Glide and the Street Glide ST. Brandon here with Harley Davidson to tell us about both of them. First of all, what makes these beautiful bikes STs?
So it's the Sport Touring, the STs. They come with the brass finish. It only comes in two colors. It's going to be Gunship Gray and Vivid Black. Harley is going to feature a low-profile highway bar. It's going to feature that 117 cubic inch Milwaukee 8 motor. It's going to have a solo seat. It's going to have a sport suspension. And it's also going to have standard bags on this model.
So it's a lot of black and copper, which is a great combination. We've been a fan of that since Smokey and the Bandit, right? Mm-hmm. Right, so tell me about the Road Glide. A lot of the same stuff on there that makes it an ST, but what's the difference in this bike?
So these two are pretty much the same bike, except for one will have a fixed fairing to the frame, and this one will have a fork mounted fairing on the Street Glide. Everything on the Road Glide is going to be the same as the Street Glide, pretty much except for the fairing. And one thing I forgot to point out, Chris, is that it's going to have the high airflow Screaming Eagle breeze on both models.
So it's one thing that you don't have to worry about upgrading right away is that air filter. That's Brandon with the ST models of the Road Glide and the Street Glide. If you come down and ask to see the Biker Dad Bike of the Week, they'll give you a free sticker. So come on down and test ride it. It's free. Our Back on Two stories are brought to you by Whittle and Melton.
Okay, got it released? All right.
No, she has, her spine is nice and straight. Bend the opposite knee and put his foot flat on the floor. Hi, this is Vicki Sanfilippo. I am the director and the founder of Accident Scene Management. On this opposite knee, putting his foot flat on the ground. With Accident Scene Management, we teach motorcyclists what to do at the scene of a crash until professional help arrives. It's called a crash course for the motorcyclist, but we don't teach people how to crash. We teach them how to help each other. I'm a nurse, and as a nurse who rides a motorcycle, everybody thought I knew what to do to help somebody, but actually that wasn't the case. I wasn't taught motorcycle trauma in nursing school, so as I figured out what I would do to help my friends, I decided to create a class so they could help me. You know, I wasn't initially planning on taking this on the road or anything. I was just going to get 30 of my friends together and tell them what to do to help me. And it just turned into something I never expected. People started hearing about it and asking. So that was 27 years ago that I initiated this program, and now we've trained over 40,000 people, have instructors in 32 states and 4 countries. About 1/3 of our students help people. So we've heard a lot of stories of people being helped, not always where they would have died without the help, but there are those stories as well. I think what surprises people the most is how much they learn. People who come in that have CPR training, listening for air coming through their mouth and nose, and have first aid training, they wonder if they're really going to learn very much. They're here because they want to learn helmet removal. I think that's the biggest reason.
And in position holding.
Make sure you hold them up there good.
Very good.
You're going to have to help with this hand to pull up. That's right.
And when they get here, they find out that there's so much more to it, and that it's really a huge learning curve, but it also teaches them specifically about motorcycle trauma. Everything from start to finish, from how to control traffic to how to put a tourniquet on. I think the thing that is really different about motorcycle trauma is probably our protective gear. A lot of people don't know is if you see this red tab here, what that's for is you can take that and you can wiggle it back and forth, and that's going to release the strap and our exposure to the elements. So we're talking more about speeds, we're talking about dealing with outdoor elements, we're talking about other traffic that gets involved. When it comes to treatment, it's not that different than any other trauma. This trauma treatment could be used for anybody, but because we are talking about wind chill, because we are talking about helmet removal. The National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers, I've been working with them for a number of years now. I really have appreciated with them how they mentor each other, how they work together, how they are vetted, and they're kind of like top of the line people who are stepping up their game, who really want to get into helping the motorcycle community. There's classes in upstate New York. We've got a class in Pelham, Alabama. We've got one coming up in Marietta, Georgia. So I think that's pretty exciting. Good job.
In Florida, motorcycles are very popular. This is one of the few states in the country, it's probably one of maybe 3 or 4 states where you can ride a bike 12 months out of the year. We have a lot of folks from out of state come here for recreational use, and there's just a lot of bikes on the road. We also have a lot of trucks and a lot of cars, and everybody who knows who rides a bike, the reason why bikers get injured, it's usually almost never the bikers. It's the other cars. It's the kid playing on their phone, okay? It's the guys in trucks making deliveries, trying to pinch time. And it's a very difficult state to ride safely in. And we have a lot of experience in representing bikers. I was recently named top 20 biker injury lawyer in the country. And these cases really require lawyers who have experience dealing with this stuff. And I would just ask anybody, if you know someone who's been in a bike accident, have them call us. There's a lot of things we can do.
Hi there, this is Chris Best, the Biker Dad. I'm just here to let you know that myself and the hundreds of thousands of people who follow us on social media and watch the TV show are here to help. Do you need help with something? Give me a call. That's my number right there, 251-402-6392. Especially if you need legal help, I have an army of lawyers across the country who can help you with injuries after motorcycle crashes especially, but other stuff like crime and everything else too. So give me a call, 251-402-6392. My name is Chris Best, and I left my 25-year career to ride motorcycles and tell stories. And now I'd like to invite you to come along for the ride. You can watch my new show, Biker Dad TV, right here every week. Watch Biker Dad Sundays at 11:30 on ABC 20 WCJB, brought to you by Whittle and Melton.
Scott Britt, 17 Customs, Little River, South Carolina. It's a pre-owned motorcycle store. We also build some customs. I've built in customs my entire life. So really, in high school, I worked for a paint and body shop. So started painting cars. And then whenever I was 18 years old, my dad bought a motorcycle store. So I enjoyed the paint work, so I kind of took the paint work with me into the motorcycle business, and with that, I've been customizing bikes my entire life. It's all I've ever done. It's been a lifelong mission for myself here with motorcycles. Here, I don't have any franchise. It's a pre-owned motorcycle store. We can sell any kind of used bikes. So it doesn't matter from Harleys or Hondas. I've got Triumphs here right now and a new BMW, a BSA. I've got a little bit of everything. So it's kind of a different kind of market altogether. I'm not governed by anything except for what I can run state laws. With this store here, I've been here for 8 years. I've been in South Carolina for 10 years, originally from North Carolina. So with it being a pre-owned motorcycle store, like I said, we can buy, sell, trade. We can get bikes any way we want to. It is just it's a fun business, fun store to have. And I like it because we've got so much freedom within the store ourselves here. We can do what we want to do. Really what we like to do is buy motorcycles that need a little bit of loving. You know, we enjoy the paint work, tires, wheels, handlebars, and we sell a lot of stock bikes as well. But it's the bikes that we buy and kind of put together ourselves and kind of make something special out of them. It's the ones that we can take and refurbish them. If we've got low mileage motorcycles but they don't look so good, we really like to make them look good. You know, we know how to paint them, clean them up, polish them. We do a lot of powder coating. Just things kind of, as I say, change the clothes on them. As long as they run good, we can make them look good. It is the two wheels, it's freedom, and it's the people I've met. It's hard to beat living in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and being in the motorcycle business. If you find something you love, it's never like work, and I'm the poster child for that, I believe.
The reason why bikers get injured, it's usually almost never the bikers. It's the other cars. It's the kid playing on their phone. It's the guys in trucks making deliveries, trying to pinch time. We have a lot of experience in representing bikers. I was recently named top 20 biker injury lawyer in the country. And these cases really require lawyers who have experience dealing with this stuff. We just ask anybody, if you know someone who's been in a bike accident, have them call us. There's a lot of things we can do.
This is Biker Dad, brought to you by Whittle and Melton.
Hi, this is Chris Best of Biker Dad. We are here in Central Florida with Jason Melton from Whittle and Melton Law Firm, injury attorneys.
Our firm is really devoted to this philosophy, no matter what kind of case it is, but especially with biker cases, is that the cases are very individual, right? They're very personal. Unfortunately, there are a lot of firms that sort of handle motorcycle cases like car accident cases. You shouldn't. They're very different. There's just really no equivalent to being on top of a motorcycle on a highway versus sitting in a car with doors and roof and a seatbelt and a horn and all sorts of things. It's just a different environment. It's a different case. The injuries are different. Handling those injuries are different. You want to be intimately aware of brain injury issues because, you know, when you go down, it's you in a pavement. I mean, other than that helmet, it's going to be a problem. So there's lots of things that go into handling these cases that are different. The bikes themselves, that's a whole other issue, making sure those bikes are properly appraised, repaired, and diminution of value is respected. Insurance companies love to tell people that they're not entitled to diminution of value. That is that gap between the value of a bike versus the value of a bike that's been repaired. Whatever that gap is, and they're absolutely entitled to it under Florida law. It's a common myth, really a lie. They'll tell people that you're not entitled to that, and you are. And that's something you could do on your own, but you need to know that you're entitled to it.
This is Biker Dad.
So I recently bought this 12-year-old beat-up bagger. I got it for a song and a dance, which is a great thing. But what I decided to do is to take this 12-year-old big Harley Davidson for a test ride of almost 2,000 miles the day after I bought it. So here's the good, the bad, and the ugly about this 2009 Harley Davidson Electric Glide that I just recently bought. The first thing is the good, which is I basically got this thing for free. I'll tell you about that as we go along with the story. But I want to start with the bad and the ugly, which are pretty much the same thing. The bad is that there's surface rust all over this thing. We live near the Gulf Coast, so there's salt in the air, and when you leave something outside that's metal in this environment, you're gonna get surface rust all over it. So there is surface rust, but the good thing about that is that it is just that, surface rust. I've already just taken some tinfoil, rubbed it all over the bike, and it's gotten rid of about half of it. Also, the bad and the ugly about this bike, these generic dorky handlebars. This seat is as ugly, as thin, and it's just old. And it's electric glide, so it has all of these geezer glide parts on it that make it just look old school, but also just, in my opinion, ugly. The extra headlights, the extra tail lights, extra stuff on it that just is not necessary. Now let's get to the good. Did I mention that I got this thing almost basically for free? Also, even though it's a 2009, it's 12 years old pretty much, it only has 20,000 miles on it. Only 20,000 miles on it. I don't know how you buy a motorcycle and don't ride it basically for 12 years. That bike right there is half the age and has more than twice the miles on it because I ride you know what out of it. And that's part of the reason that I bought this thing, so I could preserve Elvis, my favorite bike of all time. The good stuff on it as well, although I'm getting ready to do a 2,000 mile initial test run on it. I did do a couple hundred miles on it already, and it sounds and rides pretty good. This has a stage 2 on it, which means it has an upgraded air intake, upgraded exhaust, tuner, and it has a cam in it. This is a 96 cubic inch motorcycle engine on this bike that weighs about 900 pounds. Elvis has a 103 and weighs about half as much as this bike is, and I can already tell this bike, even though it's heavier and has all of this unwanted stuff on it, it's actually a lot faster and more powerful. But the big question is, will this bike stand up to the 2,000 mile road test that I'm gonna put on it in just a couple of days? I'm gonna take it down from Spanish Fort, Alabama to the Tampa Bay area and back. Untested, we'll see what it does. Stay tuned.
This is Biker Dad.
Well, the bike did just fine on that 2,000 mile round trip to Tampa and back. In fact, I've already put about 20,000 miles on it since that first video. And I've decided I've loved it so much that I don't want it to be ugly either. So we're working on a project with my bike, Fat Elvis, with Cottonmouth Customs. It's gonna be the coolest 14-year-old backer on the planet. Stay tuned for details on that. That's it for this episode of the Biker Dad Show from beautiful Leavenworth, Washington. We'll see you next time. And please, till then, look twice for motorcycles.